See, in the previous session, um, we have discussed this one. Okay, what is that? How the project structure looks like in Maven, and what is this form.xml file? And in this form.xml file, how to identify what is group ID, what is artifact ID, and next one, what is the version? How can we read the dependency tag in the form.xml file? So that is a major thing that we are going to write in the form.xml file. We are going to write the dependency tag. This is all in the last session that we discussed. Now coming to today's session, what happens now? Suppose I'm writing one dependency tag. In the previous session, what I told is dependency means the jar or the library required for our application. Okay. The jar or the library required for our application, that is actually called as a dependency. And that dependency we are going to configure in a file called form.xml file. Whenever you create a Maven project, there is a file generated. File name is called form.xml file. So here we are going to write the dependency tag. Mainly in the form.xml file, as a developer, we are going to write the dependency tags. Remaining XML file automatically is generated, but in that just we are going to add our required dependencies. In that file, we are going to add our required dependencies. How do I configure the dependencies? By using a tag called dependency tag. This dependency tag is containing mainly three child tags. One is called as group ID. Second one is called as artifact ID. Next one is called as version. Apart from that, there is one more attribute called, one more child tag called scope. I'll talk about dependency scope later, but at least minimum information first I want to provide you. What is group ID? Group ID is nothing but a unique ID of the organization. Artifact ID means the name of the project, or otherwise name of the library. Library is nothing but what? Jar file. Library is nothing but jar file. Name of the jar file and version of the jar file. Like this, we are going to try the dependency tag. Okay, now today we are going to understand. In the last class, what I told is, whenever I read the dependency tag, suppose if I'm writing the dependency tag, then I'm telling that what Maven will automatically download the dependencies. Maven is a build tool which automatically download the dependencies. Means what? If I write dependency tag, Maven will automatically download the jar files. Maven will automatically download the jar files required to our application, the class path. It will automatically download. The question is from where it will download. That is what we are going to see. Okay. Maven is always going to download the required dependencies from a repository. Maven is going to download the required dependencies from a repository. So today we are going to understand about Maven repositories. We are going to understand about what now? Maven repositories. Maven repositories is what we are going to understand today first. Okay, right. Come to the point here. Whatever the knowledge that is required to start our Spring applications, I'm just going to share all this knowledge with you first. Okay, coming to Maven. Actually, in Maven, there is a central repository. There is a central repository and there is a local repository. There is a remote repository also. There are three types of repositories are there in Maven. Okay. Maven central repository is a place where Maven will or Maven has all the Java related projects, libraries with different versions. I repeat once again. So Maven has a central repository. That central repository contains all the Java related libraries required for developing the Java projects. Any type of Java project, not only Spring project or not only Struts project or Hibernate project, any Java project of any framework, of any technology, and with different versions. And all the required tools also, which means Maven central repository contains the jar files required for developing the Java projects with the different versions, with the different technologies and tools. All Maven will maintain at one location called central repository. So whenever I'm adding the dependency tag, what Maven will do now, for example, first time you are writing the application, Maven will download the required dependencies from the, here dependencies are nothing but, once again I'm repeating, they are called what files? Jar files. They are called jar files. Today I want to start writing one Spring application. Nothing but what? To compile and execute my Spring application, what are required? Some jars are required. Who provided those jar files? Maven. It's actually Spring Framework provided. Spring Framework provided jar files. Actually, I have to download all the jar files and I have to add those jar files to the class path. Okay, I have to add the jar files and I have to add them to the class path. Otherwise, what happens if I compile without doing all these things? Java compiler will generate one compile time error saying that what? This class not found. We are going to get the compile time errors. How can I overcome that compile time error? First, I need to download the jar file in which that class is available. Then that jar file I need to add to the class path. Then I have to compile my program. When I'm compiling my program, what compiler will do now? If that class is not available in my project, now the compiler is going to check for or verify or check for the class in the jar file. If that is available in the jar file, Java compiler will successfully compile. Right? So what should I do? I have to download. I have to add the jar file to the class path. What is there in the jar file? The jar file is consisting a group of classes will be there. A group of classes will be there. For example, Spring Framework has provided multiple jar files. What this each jar file contains? A group of classes which are given by the Spring Framework. A group of classes which are given by the Spring Framework. To develop my Spring application, I need those classes because I want to take the support of which framework. To develop my application, I want to use which framework support? Spring Framework support. To use the support of Spring Framework or to get the benefits of the Spring Framework, I need the Spring Framework provided classes to my project. I need those classes which are given by Spring Framework to my project. So how can I get them? By downloading the jar files. By downloading the jar files. If it is Maven, who will download automatically? Maven will download. From where Maven will download? Maven will download the jar files from a central repository. Maven will download from a central repository. Okay, good. So in Maven, there is one repository called as central repository. In that repository, Maven will maintain all the tools, frameworks, technologies, jars, everything required for developing Java projects. Almost everything, whatever is required, Spring, Hibernate, or anything like JPA, PDF, Excel, many Spring Boot, whatever, Spring Cloud, all the dependencies. All the jars required for developing the different Java projects using different technologies, different tools. All of them, Maven will maintain at one location called central repository with a different versions. With a different versions. So from where Maven is going to download the required dependencies now? From the central repository. For example, I'm writing 6.2.2 version. From where Maven will download this version of jar file? Central repository. Suppose I don't want to use a very latest version called 6.2.2. I want to use a 5.2.2 version. In Spring Framework, we have 5.2 version also available. Then tell me this time, from where again Maven is downloading this dependency, these jar files? Central. In the central repository, 6.2.2 version jar files available, 5.2.2 version jar files available, 6.2.1 version available, 6.2.0 version available, all versions available. Old version Spring 1.x also available. Means Maven has a central repository. It will maintain what? It will maintain what? All the jar files required for developing the Java projects using different frameworks, different technologies, and different tools. Maven will maintain all of them at one location. That location is called what? Central repository. So means there is a central repository from where Maven is downloading them from the central repository. Very good. Understand here. I will show you practically. In order to show practically, what I will do is I will make my system ready for showing this. You just wait for 1 second. To show all these things. I am making my system ready because in my system so many things are downloaded. Okay. Now, I told yesterday, if at all we want to develop any Spring applications, then which IDE is better one? STS, Spring Tool Suite. Looks like Eclipse only, you can download directly. Go to spring.io website. There you have the link to download the projects menu is there. You click on projects menu. There you can find out what STS, Spring Tools. Then just choose Spring Tools Suite for Eclipse. Okay, right? Okay, I'll give you one more time. Instead of telling it in the air, I want to show it to you physically. Go to spring.io website, go to projects, go to projects, go to projects, click on what? Spring Tools, Spring Tools. Then here, Spring Tools for Eclipse, download for your Windows machine. Okay, download and install. That's it. Nothing more. Okay, now coming to the point. We want to so Spring Tool Suite also looks like what? Eclipse. Okay, the entire UI looks like Eclipse only. We no need to bother about it. Let us launch it. The same workspace yesterday, whatever I have used. Okay, let us launch it. Now, come to the point here, guys. Everyone, yesterday, okay, yesterday, uh, just one to show you how the Maven project structure looks like. I have created one simple Maven project called demo. In this, I have opened pom.xml to show you how to add the dependency tag. How to add the dependency tag. So I've added dependency tag here. Now tell me, okay, now tell me, after adding the dependency tag in the pom.xml file, I'm going to save the file. Whenever I save the file, what Maven will do now immediately? I have added the dependency tag now. Now I'm going to save this file. Currently it is not yet saved. I'm going to save it now. What happens when I save this file now? Means when I say Control yes, if I save by clicking Control yes to save it, then Maven starts downloading the required dependencies from where? Central repository. That central repository URL is repo.maven.org. So we are going to see that. Okay. So just I'm just going to press Control yes now. Now we can see that it is going to start downloading all the dependencies. Already downloaded. Let's do one thing. I want to check in the local repository. Just a minute. See, I have made it empty, automatically download all these things. Okay, don't worry. Let us create. Okay, no problem. I just want to do one thing. I want to create a new project. Just I will give you the steps to create the Maven project later. Currently, I'm not talking about the steps, and I just want to make the local repository empty. Okay, I'm done. See, I'm just creating my new Maven project. Later, I'll tell you about all these kind of things, the steps and all. But presently, I want to create one Maven project. You will learn all these things, don't worry. You will learn all these things, you don't worry. So from where Maven is downloading all the required things. There is some download is progressing now. From where Maven is downloading all these things? Central repository. repo.maven.apache.org. You are observing that? https://repo.maven.apache.org/maven2. Okay. So tell me from where Maven is downloading all the required things? From where these are all available? From where it is downloading now? From central repository. Downloading from central. Downloaded from central. You are getting a message now? Downloaded from central. Downloaded from central. Download from central. You are good to get. Okay. You are getting. See, downloaded from where? Central. Downloading from where? Central. We are getting central word now. Downloading from central. Downloaded from central. Okay, right? Very good. Downloading from central. Last message what? Downloaded from central. Completed again. Downloading from central. Okay, you are getting downloaded from central. Again, next one, downloading from central. So from where Maven is downloading all the required things, it is going to download from the central repository. That's what I want to show. What is the URL of the central repository? repo.maven.apache.org/maven2. Remaining all will change. Remaining things will change. The remaining file URI will change, but this is common. This is common. Okay. All right. Good. This is what I want to show. Okay. Good. Observe it. I'll open which file is created whenever we get a Maven project. Pom.xml file is created. In this file, what we are going to write is called. In this file, what we are going to write is called what? Dependencies. Dependencies. Under dependencies, we are going to write a tag called what? Dependency. Under dependency, what are the child tags that you have to write? Group ID. What is a group ID for the Spring Framework jar files? Okay, that is now what is ID value? org.Spring Framework. That is a group ID for Spring Framework jar files. Next one is artifact ID, which is nothing but name of the jar file. Name of the jar file. Spring-context. What's the version? 6.2.2, for example. This is the current version. Now, when I press Control S, what happens now? Maven is going to download it from the central repository. When I press Control S, you can see it is downloading from central. Of course, it's completed fastly. Done. You saw something downloading here. Nothing but what now? It is downloading from which repository? central repository. Am I clear? So there is a central repository in Maven. That is for sure. Very good. One is central repository is available. Central repository is available. Am I clear? This is a Maven central repository. Right. What is the URL of Maven central repository? repo.maven.apache.org. repo.maven.apache.org/maven2 /maven2. Correct. Now this is called what repository? Central repository. Central repository of what? Maven. You can see the title also for the page. What's the title of the page? Central repository. Central repository. This is the Maven central repository. Very good. So in this repository, what is available? in this repository, what is available in this repository? Maven will maintain all the libraries required for developing the Java projects. Not only Spring, any Java project using any technology or using any framework, any tool. Everything is available in one location. That location is called what repository? Maven central repository. Very good. So this I have shown you. Listen to me. Maven central repository. There is local repository also created in the system. I told Maven is a downloading from central repository. When Maven is downloading something from central repository, Maven is going to store them in local repository. Local repository is created in our machine. I'll show you the location. There is a central repository and there is a local repository in Maven. Central repository maintains all the Java projects related libraries for different frameworks, for different tools and different technologies, entire Java related. They will maintain in one location. That is called which repository? Central repository. For example, using Maven, you are developing a Struts project. Using Maven, I am developing a Spring project. Right? So for your project, from where Maven will download the required libraries? Central repository. Your project is a Struts project, but my project is what? Spring project. So from where? For my project, the required dependencies are downloaded again from the central repository. But Maven does not download the same dependency again and again into the system. It doesn't waste our system's memory. The same file I'm downloading many times. Unnecessarily, my system memory get wasted. Unnecessarily, the system memory get wasted or not. Suppose you're downloading one movie. Okay, movierules.com website you're opening. A latest movie you're downloading. If you download the same movie one more time and keeping previously in D drive, now you are keeping in E drive. Again, you're downloading the same file. Same movie you're downloading again. What happens now? Memory gets wasted. Unnecessarily you're downloading 2 times. Whatever things are downloaded by the Maven, Maven will store them in a local repository. Initially, it will download from where? Central repository. If that is not available in my local machine, now it is going to download from central repository and it will store them in local repository. Next time, for example, I'm creating another project now. Another project also I want to create now. Let's say I want to create one more project now. Tell me to create my next project. Is Maven is going to download again all these required dependencies? No. They are already available in local repository. Now it is going to use from local repository without downloading again. Are you able to get my point now? That's why I just want to show you like this. I want to create another new project. I want to create a new Maven project. I want to create a new Maven project. Just if you wait, it will show you all archetypes. I'll tell you what is archetype meaning. It is you are getting a message called it is retrieving archetypes. Process is going on. This retrieval of archetypes will take little bit time.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm getting little confused between Maven project and a Spring MVC project. Actually, sir, we also create a Spring MVC project using Maven. So I'm getting a little confused. The basic.
Everything is Maven. Spring MVC project, Spring Boot project, all are called Maven projects only.
Okay, sir.
Whatever Java project you are creating, that is totally called as a Maven project.
Okay, sir. And it is not, I think it is not only the build tool, sir. Maven is not only the build tool.
Maven is a build tool, but it can provide more features than build tool.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
It's not only going to perform build process, it will give you more than that, many features.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. When compared with the previous time, this time it is not downloading many things. Previously, when I'm creating project, what happened? So many things are downloaded. But now it is downloading only. This is a next another version of Kickstart. I mean archetype. So that's why downloading something, but not more than that. Now let's click on why. My project is created. Project name is what? Sample1. This sample1 also contains form.xml file. I'll open form.xml. I will go to which tag? Dependencies, and I'll start writing what tag? Dependency tag. I'll start writing. When I start writing the dependency tag, inside the dependency tag, I'm going to add what ID? Group ID. What is the group ID? Arg.Spring Framework. This is a group ID for all the Spring Framework jar files. All the Spring Framework jars have a group ID called arg.Spring Framework. Next one is called what? Artifact ID. What is that? Spring hyphen context. Context. Next one is a version. Version I want to use 6.2.2. Okay. Now when I press Control yes, will it Maven download these jar files called all the Spring, these particular dependencies one more time from the Maven central repository or already available in the local repository? Already available. That's why it is going to use from local repository. It is not going to download from the central repository. When I press Control yes, okay. When I press Control yes, it is not downloading anything much. Previously, at least we got something is downloading, but this time we are not getting anything. From where it is downloading? From where it is using now? Local repository. But previously, first time, it is downloading from center. Okay. So now question is, where is that local repository? In every developer's machine, when you open the C drive, you have to open users folder. Under users folder, there is a Windows folder is available. It is not actually Windows. It is your, what I can say, your administrator folder. Okay. This is your administrator folder. I mean your login folder. Your username folder otherwise, whatever it is. Under C users, you will find administrator. So in my system, I have Windows, or you may in your system, you have an administrator or your name, whatever. Okay. So this is my administrator folder. Under Windows, I can able to see one folder called .m2. There is a folder called what? .m2 is a folder. If I open .m2 folder, you can see one folder called what? Repository. Now this is called which repository? Local repository. If I delete this folder, what happens again? Again, Maven will start downloading from central repository and Maven will add them to the local. Again, local repository will be one more time created. Are you able to follow me? So will Maven download every time or only for first time? Only for first time, but not for every time. Okay. Let's do one thing. See, instead of using the version 6.2.2, I want to use a version 5.7.0. Example 5.7.0. I'll press Ctrl S to download it now. Am I clear with you now? Previous project, which version of Spring I want to use? 6.2.2. Current project, which version of Spring I want to use? 5.7. Now you tell me, in this case, you tell me, is a 5.7 version of dependencies are available in my local repository? No. Which version of Spring jars are available now? 6.2, but not 5.7. What happens now when I press Ctrl S? Now we can see 5.7.5, let's say. In the central repository, it is saying that what 5.7.5 version is not available. Okay, I can find it now, no problem. First, I should go to org. We will use one of the existing version, that's it. Okay, it is not for you. Just I want to show you one of the available versions. I can show you one more time. If I change the version, will it download again or not? This is Scala, Selenium. Okay. This is Spring Framework. Okay. Something. Don't worry. These are all versions available. Which version I want? 5.7. So 5.7 is not available. Which version? After 5.3, next to 6 only. Let's say 5.3.8 version I'm using. For that reason, after 5.3, next version 6 only. For example, 5.3.8, 8 to 9, anything. Because we can able to see which version, these are all Spring versions. After 5.5.5.5.3.9, next version, next version is 6. Okay, it is not visible to you properly. Yeah? Just a minute. Now we can see after 5.3.9 Spring Framework, what is the next version? 6. 6. Current version 6.2.2. This is M1. I mean, it is not, it's a managed version. It is not yet finalized. But what's the finalized version? 6.2.2. 6.2.2. Right. Okay. After 5.3.9 version, next version of the Spring is what? 6. So I'm choosing 5.3.8 for the second project called sample 1. Which version I want to use? 5.3.8. Then when I press Ctrl S, now we can see it is starting, it is going to start downloading them. Or let's say, for example, 5.3.8 or 5.3.7, something like that. There is, yeah, there is error. There is an error. Got it. Now we can see what Maven is doing now. Downloading again. Which version? 5.3 from where? Central repository. And where it is storing them again? Okay, now I don't want to use even 5.3 in this project. These are all to show you only. For example, I want to use the version called as, okay, I want to use a version called as, let's say 4 dot any version. Let's say, for example, I want to use 2.5.6. Which version? 2.5.6. 2.5.6. 2.5.6. Are you getting my point now? I'll press Control yes. Tell me what Maven is doing. Again, downloading which version? 2.5.6. From where? And where it is stored now? Local repository. In the next project, if again I want this 2.5.6, will it download again? No. Already available in local repository. So it will use from local repository. So when Maven will download from central repository, if it is not available in the local repository, then only Maven will download it from the, means it will not download the same version 2 times. Means duplicate it not downloading. It is not going to waste my system memory. Did you get my point now? Right. That's what I want to show by all these explanation. So tell me, so far, what are the 2 types of repositories we have? Central repository and local repository. 2 types of repositories you should know. Remote repository is also there, but that is not required. Central repository, local repository, 2 things you should know. Okay, right. Coming to the point here. Coming to the point here. Just I want to write some statements now. So tell me, Maven maintains all the dependencies, or otherwise we can say libraries required for developing Java projects with different technologies, tools, and frameworks. Everything with the different technologies, tools, and frameworks. Maven maintains all the dependencies or libraries required for developing Java projects with the different technologies, tools, and frameworks with the different versions. In a place called central repository. Are you getting my point now? Maven maintains all the tools, technologies, frameworks, related dependencies with the different versions in a place called which repository? Central repository. The URL of the central repository is the URL of Maven central repository is what? Just it is to know what is the URL of this? https://repo.maven.apache.org. Apache.org/what? Maven2. Now this is going to be the URL of the Maven central repository. Okay, it will maintain there. Central repository. Okay, now I'm talking about when you are creating a new Maven project, when you're creating a new Maven project from your IDE, when you are creating a new Maven project from your IDE, Maven will download the required plugins and dependencies from where? When you are creating a new Maven project from your IDE, Maven will download the required plugins and dependencies from central repository. Okay. Tell me, when they are download from central repository, in which repository they are going to be stored? Local repository. Okay. The downloaded files will be stored into A local repository. Local repository. In every developer's machine, I mean programmer's machine, like your machine, my machine, in every developer's machine, what repository will be created? In every developer's machine, Maven local repository will be created. Did you guys got my point now? In every developer's machine, Maven local repository will be created. Yes, it is there. I'll tell you the location now. What is the location? The location of Maven local repository is C drive, users, admin, administrator. Under administrator, you can able to see one folder called what? .m2. .m2 contains a folder called what? Repository. This is called what repository? Local repository. Tell me, will Maven directly download from central repository or first it will verify? First it will verify. So before downloading any dependencies from central repository, tell me where Maven will check them first. Before downloading any dependencies from central repository, Maven will first check for them. Will check for them where? Maven will first check for them in the local repository. Am I right or not? If they are existing local repository, Maven will download again. If suppose that is exists already, for example, I want to use Spring version 6.2 version. Already they are available in the local repository. Will it download again? No. So means first what Maven will check? Will check for them in the local repository. If exist in local repository, then Maven will reuse them. Maven will reuse them from the local repository. From the local repository. If not exist, then if not exist in local repository, then Maven will download from the central repository to the local repository. Will download from the central repository, stores them into local repository for use. Are you able to follow me? So means blindly Maven will download every time the dependencies again, or first it is going to check for them. It's going to check for them where? In the local repository. If not exist in local repository, then only it is going to download from the central repository. So these are the Maven repositories that you guys need to know. Again, see here. This is repository. Tell me, this is called what repository? Local repository created for every developer's machine. For example, tomorrow you are also going to start writing a Maven project, for example. Then tell me, in your system also what repository created? Local repository created. Very first time when you start working with Maven projects, local repository will be automatically created. Yes, repository created. Again in the repository, tell me, what is a group ID? What is the group ID? Observe here. What is the group ID I have provided for a dependency? Arg.Spring Framework. Arg.Spring Framework. Actually, what Maven will do in the local repository, Maven will store the downloaded dependencies in a proper folder structure. What is the proper folder structure? The proper folder structure is, it is going to create the folders for group ID. Tell me the group ID. What's the group ID here? Org.Spring Framework. Nothing but what? Maven in the local repository will first create one folder called org. Under that, another folder called Spring Framework. What framework? Spring Framework. Tell me under Spring Framework. Now tell me what's the next one? Artifact ID. What's the name of the artifact ID? Spring hyphen, not dot, hyphen context. which means it's going to create another folder called what? Spring-context in a proper folder structure. First, group ID folders. Next, what? Artifact ID folder. Next, version folder. What the version here? 2.5.6 version folder. It will organize the downloaded dependencies in a proper folder structure like this. Then here the jar file is available. Jar file is available. Suppose if I am using a version called 622, then what? For 622 version, another folder is created, version folder, and in this version folder, that version jar file is available. This is which version of jar file? 622. This is which version of jar file? 256. So tell me, in the Maven is going to maintain the downloaded dependencies in a proper folder structure or not? Yes. So first it is going to create the folders for what? Group ID. Next it is going to create the folder for what? Artifact. Next it is going to create the folder for what? Version. And then it is going to store the jar file there. Now I want to show you that. You can see, is it really happening like that? You guys can see that. Tell me, this repository folder is called local repository folder. Open it. Tell me what is the group ID? org.spring framework. Nothing but org is a folder. Yes. Under org was the next subfolder? Spring framework. Under spring framework, spring-context I have written. That is called artifact ID. Spring-context. Can you able to see that? Yes. Open it. Tell me which version? For example, 6.2.2. Any of these two are not available, I'll delete them. Sorry. Tell me 6.2.2, 2.5.6, 5.3.8. What are all these versions? If I open 6.2.2, okay, then you can see there is a jar file called 6.2.2 jar file. You can see here. I'll show you. Okay, it is showing you in my system like a RAR, but don't worry, because of RAR software, don't worry. But tell me, this is called which version of the jar file? Spring-context dash 6.2.2. Very good. Now I will go back to Spring context. 256 also one more version I've used. Now we can see here. Now again you can see this is which version of jar file? 2.5.6. So tell me first what Maven is doing here in the local repository. It is creating the folders for group ID. What's the group ID? Arg.spring framework. Arg is a folder. Spring framework is a subfolder. Next, what is the artifact ID? Spring-context. And again, what is the version folder? 2.5.6. It will manage the downloaded dependencies into local repository in a proper structure. In a group ID, folders of group ID, folders of artifact ID, version folder. It will create group ID folder, artifact ID folder, version folder, and it will maintain the jar file there. Please remember this point. Okay, na? Right. Just it is to show you the information, nothing more. Now come back to the point here. So far, we have discussed about Maven repositories. So there are how many types of repositories is enough to know? Two types. What and what? Central repository and local. Central repository means it is not in my machine. It is there in internet. Website, na? It is an internet. repo.maven.apache.org. Central repository is available in internet. Local repository is available in my machine. First time, if I'm downloading anything new or if I'm using anything new, then Maven will download from where to where? Central repository to the local repository. First time only. Next time, it will reuse it. Okay, na? Right. So in every developer's machine, what folder or what repository is created? Local repository created. And where can you see that local repository? C drive, users, administrator folder, .m2 folder, / what? repository. This is the location of which repository? Local repository. We are clear with the local repository and central repository. Just I'm highlighting it. Next. Okay. Now we got something about Maven report. This is enough to know first. Basic informations I'm trying to provide initially to start with our application development. Now coming to the next point. So far we got to know that what is pom.xml. Majorly in pom.xml, what is our requirement? We have to add the dependencies. Pom.xml is mainly for adding the project dependencies. Project dependencies we are going to add in the pom.xml file. So whenever you add the dependencies in the pom.xml file, if they are not available in the local repository, then Maven will download them from the central repository and will store them back to the local repository. Okay, right. Next time, if you are again using the same version of dependency, Maven will directly use it from the local repository without downloading it again from the central repository. This point is very, very clear. Come to the point here. Now, I'll delete all these things. I want to remove this project. I want to delete this project. Okay, let's delete both of them. You guys need to understand one more thing. I told yesterday, for a Maven project, there is a project structure. There is a project created. Under project, what folder is there? SRC. SRC contains what? Main Java, also main resources. Next, SRC also contains test Java and test resources. And also one file, important file created. That file is called what? Pom.xml file. Now, everybody, you try to understand now. Everybody, please try to understand. What I'm trying to say now, am I going to create all these folder structure by myself manually? No. So there is a concept in Maven called Maven archetypes. Maven archetypes. Here archetypes means they are templates, project templates. Project templates. Understand everyone? This also another point to understand so that you got something about Maven. Okay. See, if I want to create a Maven project, I no need to create first one project folder, inside that SRC folder, inside that main folder. Am I going to create the project folder manually? Inside that, suppose my project name is a demo or sample. Previously, you saw the demo or sample folder. Tell me, am I creating any folder called sample one myself? Am I creating sample one folder project? And again, inside that SRC folder, main, inside the main subfolder called Java. Okay, am I creating another subfolder called resources? Are you creating this folder structure? No. No. To generate the project structure, to quickly set up the project structure, Maven has given what? Archetypes. So these archetypes are nothing but they are project templates. What they are? They are project templates. Using these templates, I can quickly set up my project structure. I don't need to create the project structure manually. Okay. There are some templates given by Maven. They are called project templates. Another name is called what? Archetypes. With the help of that archetype, I can quickly set up what? The project structure without manually creating them. Are you able to follow me? And for different requirements, different templates are given. Suppose I want to create a simple Maven project, like a core Java application, some kind of like that, without any web application. Then I have to use a template called Maven archetype Quickstart. What is this Maven archetype quick start? It is one project template. This is used for creating a simple Java application. A simple Java application. If I want to develop a web application, then I have to use one archetype called Maven archetype web app. So what are these things? Maven archetype quick start, Maven archetype web app. Okay, what are these things now? Maven archetype J2E, something like that. Okay, so tell me, there are so many templates are there. Some hundreds of templates are there. Don't worry now. What are all these called? Archetypes. Archetypes are nothing but what templates? What these project templates will do? They will quickly set up the project structure without creating the folders manually. If I start creating the folders manually, it will take time. And there can be some error prone. I may do mistakes. Actually, I should create resources in main. By mistake, I'm creating resources in SRC. If I'm doing manually, then error will occur. I'm not following the project structure, Maven project structure. Manually creating folders will take time, and also there may be a chance of getting errors. That's why Maven only given a templates called what? Archetypes. And these archetypes will help the developer that you can quickly set up the project structure without creating the project folders manually. Without creating the folders manually. That is called what types? Archetypes. To develop a simple application, a Maven project, means without using any web development related things, without a web application, if you want to develop some console application, then which archetype we are going to use? Maven archetype quick start. Quick start. If I want to develop a web application, then I'm going to use which one? Maven archetype web app. Maven archetype web app. Okay, like that, different archetypes are there. Are you able to get my point now? Right. Maven archetype starts too for creating starts project, something like that. There are different archetypes. So many archetypes are there for different requirements. For different requirements. I want to create a Spring Boot with a React.js project, for example. Then one more archetype is available. Which means what is the advantage of doing that? Automatically what are created? Project structure will be created. I no need to create the structure manually. No need to create the folders manually. Then there is no chance of getting mistakes here. That's why Maven has given some new concept called as what? Project templates. They are also called as what types? Archetypes. So what is Maven archetype now? A Maven archetype is a project template which can help the developer to quickly set up the Maven project without creating the folders manually. Without creating the folders manually. Okay, mainly two archetypes we are going to use. One is for developing console applications. Other one is for developing web applications. Web applications. First one is for developing what type of applications? Console. So initially, approximately for the first 5 to 6 applications, let's say for example, for the first 10 Spring applications, they are all console applications. Simple, without any web development in that. Spring core module we are discussing with annotations and all in the first 10 applications. Then you tell me which archetype I'm going to choose. Means which template I will use. Maven archetype, quick start. And when I'm explaining you one Spring MVC application is nothing but web application. Which archetype I have to choose? Maven archetype web app. These are template I will use. Are you able to get my point now? Are you getting this concept now? Right. So try to understand. So what are archetypes simply? They are the project templates. Project templates. So if you look at, I want to start creating. Okay. We will understand jar var. Okay. No problem. I'll answer this question. Just wait. First, we want to complete archetypes.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. See, come to the point. See, I want to create a new Maven project. I'm just going to click File, New. Then whichever right I want to create? Maven project. Just in the first step, I'm creating a new Maven project. I want to use the default workspace location as this. Then I will click on which button? Next button. Now we can see. You are getting a list of archetypes here. These are all called what? Whatever the list you got here. These are all called what? Maven archetypes. These are all archetypes only. You can see these many archetypes. These many archetypes are there. What are all these? These are all templates. These are all templates. For example, I want to create a project with a Spring and Selenium. One template that creates automatically all the folder structure required for developing Spring with Selenium, for example. Right? I want to create one React JSON Spring. For that, one archetype to develop a simple console application, one archetype, simple web application, one archetype. Like that, so many what are there available here? Many archetypes are available. These are all archetypes only. Archetypes are nothing but what? Project. These are all called what? Project templates. These are all called project templates. Project templates. Okay. Project templates. Okay. Right. For example, I want to create a Spring Boot application with a data Redis. Then which template I'm going to choose? Spring Boot. Of course, in Spring Boot, it's not required. We have another tool for that. Don't worry. Just I'm talking about Spring Boot sample data Redis archetype. Okay. Suppose I want a sample integration application. Spring Boot sample integration data type archetype. Archetype. There are many archetypes are there. There are many archetypes are there. Okay. Many archetypes are there. For example, okay. For example, Spring Boot sample Jetty archetype. Jetty is one server. Like Tomcat server, Jetty also one more server. Like Tomcat server, Jetty server is also available. This is Spring Boot sample secure archetype. And whenever you want to create a Spring Boot application with security, this is archetype. Of course, we are not going to choose this archetype because for Spring Boot applications, Spring framework has given another tool called Spring Initializer tool. So that we are going to use. Don't worry. I mean, Maven project only, but that is easy for the application development or set up the project with Spring Boot. Okay, right. You can see Spring Boot sample web UI archetype, web secure archetype, web socket archetype, blah, blah, blah. You can see many things. So tell me, these are all what like this? Many are there. What are all these? What are all these? Are all different archetypes. Archetypes are nothing but a project templates. Templates. I want to create a simple console, simple sample application, Java applications, console applications. Then tell me which archetype I have to choose. Maven, archetype, quick start. But you know, searching for that archetype in this big list is difficult for me. Where is Maven, archetype, quick start? I need to go there. It's very difficult. That's why I can able to use filter option. In filter option, what I can select, what I can type, Maven hyphen, archetype hyphen, quick start. When I type this, now it is filtered and showing me only the related matching types. And in this, the last one is org.apache.maven. What? Archetypes is a group ID from Maven. These are from third party. These two are from third party, the different other companies. The first one is from GitHub, but I want to choose from Apache. Maven archetype what? Quick start. Then I'm going to click on next. It's asking me, tell me what is the ID you want to for your project. What's the group ID of your company? You have to enter your company group ID. You have to enter your company group ID, the group ID given by the company. Next one is artifact ID, nothing but project name. Let's say project name is first project. For the project name, first just understand first project. Then we are going to click on finish. Then we are going to click on finish. This time downloading is very less, not more. Completed, downloading completed very fastly because already many things are already available in the local repository. Yes, it is asking, this is a group ID, this is artifact ID, this is a version, this is a package, all this data correct, yes or no? What I am typing? Yes. Then I got a message called what? Builder success, and also my project is created here. Then tell me this project folder, inside that src folder, pom.xml, inside src folder main, test, inside main, Java, inside test, Java. Then tell me all these folders, am I manually creating them or automatically generated? Who generated them automatically? Maven archetype. That archetype is called what template? Project template. So quickly, I'm getting my project set up or not? Yes. That's what the advantage of what? Maven archetype. Did you guys got what the meaning of Maven archetype now? Okay. Now, I just want to write some statement here. Tell me, just you have to learn something about Maven, then only we can able to start working with the Spring. That's why I'm telling all these kind of things to you. So tell me, what are Maven archetypes? Maven archetypes are project templates, which helps the developers to quickly set up the project structure by without creating the folders manually. Are able to follow me now? So who will automatically set up the project structure? Maven. That is called what templates? Project templates. Who are called project templates? Archetypes. So archetypes are nothing but they are the project templates. Okay. Right. Okay. Now I'll tell you, if developers create or set up the project structure manually. If developers set up the project structure manually, then it will take time, and also mistakes may happen. Mistakes means errors may occur. Errors may occur if the folders are not created properly. For example, folder name is resources. You created folder called resource. Yes, you missed out. It's a mistake only, na? It's a mistake only, right? Resources is the folder. But what you created folder name? Resource, not resources. It is a mistake only, na? Like that. So that's what I'm talking about. So the folders are created, not created properly, errors may occur. That's why what are given? Okay, that's why what Maven has provided? Yes, that's why Maven has provided archetypes. Okay, very good. Coming to the point. Why these many archetypes? See, every project will have a different requirement. Different requirements will be there, right? One project wants to use Spring and React. Other project wants to use Spring and Angular. Other project wants to use security. One more one don't want security. So then tell me, project requirements are different. That's why Maven has given many archetypes. Are you able to follow me now? Right? Are you able to get my point, right? See, different structure required for different types of projects or not. Project structure will be different from some extra folders required. For example, I'm developing a web application. For a web application, to store HTML files, CSS files, JavaScript files, some folders are required. To store images, one folder is required. Means project structure will be slightly different from normal application to web application or not? Yes or no? Web.xml file is required. Where? In web application. But for normal applications, Java console application, web.xml file is not required. HTML files are not required. So folder structure will be different. Basic structure will be same, but additionally some folders required. For what? To store HTML files, CSS files. But for normal application, they are not required. So which means project structure will be slightly different from one type of the project to other type of the project. Right? See, all are houses only. Okay. But the structure will be different for single bedroom house, double bedroom house, villa house. Structure is not same, right? All are houses only, but structure will be different. Okay, single bedroom, number of doors are less, number of rooms are less, double bedroom, little bit more, villa room, multiple floors are there. So structure will be different from where? Single bedroom house to double bedroom house to villa. Am I right or not? All are houses only, means all are projects only, but little bit changes are required here and there in structure. Am I right or not? Right. So that's why Maven has given what? Many archetypes. Many archetypes. Are you getting my point now? Right. So just I want to tell you. Maven has provided different okay, many archetypes better. Multiple or many. Hundreds of archetypes are there. Has provided many archetypes. Okay. To create project structure. To create project structures for different requirements. For different requirements or different technologies, whatever it is. Okay. Different, so many archetypes are there. We don't need to worry. Okay. Just I'm talking. The two important archetypes are, what are the two important archetypes? Maven archetype quick start. Tell me, this archetype is used for what? Used for creating okay console Java applications. Console Java applications. Console Java applications. Okay. There is an archetype called Maven archetype web app. This is for developing, used for creating web applications. Okay, na? Right. So these are the two archetypes. You guys need to keep them in mind. What are the two? Maven archetype quick start. Next one is Maven archetype web app. Okay. Now we are almost near to start developing our application. Lastly, at least some idea is required. So you got some idea like in Maven, this that are available. These are project structure. This is called archetype. This is called pom.xml. This is called dependency tag. Maven will download from where? Central repository. Maven will store them in where? Local repository. And if it is already available in local repository, then Maven will reuse from the local repository. Will not waste our system's memory. Am I right or not? We may waste our memory if you do manually. For example, first time I'm downloading one jar file. I kept in somewhere in my system. Next time also same jar file required, but I forgot. Where is that? In D drive or E drive or F drive or some folder where I didn't get it. Instead of searching for that, what can I do now? I'll download again. Nothing but what in my system, same jar file I'm keeping in two different locations. Nothing but I'm wasting my memory, system's memory. But Maven will not do that because Maven will download only once. And the next time it will reuse from the local repository. So you got multiple things about this. Am I clear with this so far? Right? Good. So next we have something called what are the different Maven life cycle phases or life cycle goals. Different names is there. We are going to understand about life cycle steps. Maven life cycle steps. If I explain that, then we are good to go with the Spring first application. We are going to create a Spring one class, one bean. That's what we are writing one XML file. Then we are going to start the Spring container. Then we are going to execute the program, the first application, the second application with a dependent object and dependency object. Then we are going to discuss. Next, we are going to see about what is constructor injection, what is setter injection. Are you able to follow me? What is interface injection? These are all called types of dependency injections. Okay. So then we are going to find the difference between this injection, that injection, when to use this, when to use that. So a lot of Spring core module is required. You're always going to get more questions on Spring core module only. not on Spring Boot or something else. If you know the core module perfectly, then you can easily get into the Spring Boot and microservices with microservices. Are you able to follow me now? Right. So we will stop here. We got something about this. What's the last point that I need to explain so that we can start with the first application? What the last point? Maven lifecycle steps, project lifecycle steps. Okay, means how to compile or how to package my application into a jar file or a var file. That is what I'm going to tell you now. Jar is nothing but purely it contains Java classes. Var contains what? Along with the classes, other files are also available. HTML files, CSS files, JavaScript files, images. All these files you are going to compress and create a var file. Var file is created for web application. Okay, right? But of course, for web application, jar file also created. That is possibly with the Spring Boot. But normally, var file is created for web application. Jar file is created for normal console Java application. Okay, all right. So we are going to look at about that. In practical, I'm going to show you that we are going to discuss in the next session. And one small information to you is that tomorrow I'm not going to take any class for you. So we will meet on Monday again. Online people, try to listen to me. Okay, I'll share the notes. Please go through it. So on Monday session, tomorrow I will not take any session. Okay. Okay, tomorrow it's not possible for me. I have some personal work tomorrow. That's why I can't able to take the session for you.